Well, hello.
Hello.
This is Are You With Me Right Now? Episode 27.
You did it.
Yay. I introduced the podcast.
I'm
Oh,
not confirming that this is 27. I'm not really sure.
You're going to use your Fifth Amendment right?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Our users will know. However,
they will. Yep. They are the guardians of the podcast numbering system. Thank you for your service, listeners. Oops, crap, I just painted my table.
I think breaking news this week is my ex-wife gave you graces to stay over.
Yeah, that was a big deal. For one night, which was fun.
Yep, one night only. That was it. I hope it was good.
It'll never happen again.
I think significant about that is you're having feelings about having children again.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Can you explore that with me a
Based
little
on
bit?
yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I parented 2 days in a row, which I know makes me a weak bitch because I was exhausted yesterday. And I've got a history of like babysitting, and I really fucking love kids and I want to work with kids. But I was beat last night. Like, I definitely cried. I'm fine. It's just crying is just how I cope, as you know. Dude, it was fucking hard. I highly, after that experience, I highly doubt my ability to be a good parent. And I'm just not used to like the nonstop, because I've babysat overnight before, but not often. Only like once, and it was in an emergency where I had to watch the kids for the people that I sit. I don't know. We sat and talked. This was right before I left to go back home, because I slept over on Friday night. So last night, Saturday, we were talking about how, like, you know, a lot of the difficulties I have with the kid that I sit, it's so difficult because she has a lot of really individually challenging stuff going on, and her family is just really tough for a lot of reasons. There's just a lot of stress that they've had to like go through, and I don't really agree with her parents' reaction to it. So I kind of try to draw some parallels of, like, I don't know, what frustrates me about having kids, and I don't know, just how to not get tired of children after 2 days. That sounds so horrible, because I love this kid so much, and you know that. Your kid.
Yeah.
And I know that. And I'm sure of it. But God, it just takes so much out of you when they're that young. And I don't have a history of, you know, I haven't known her for 3 years. I haven't parented her and seen her grow and change and get better, or as in like get easier. You know, that's just not there. And I found it really difficult to come in year 3 and like find my place in a family that isn't mine, really.
Okay.
Or like that feels like I don't really have a part in, like, officially. I've been talking to step parents that I know and my therapist, and like that's just kind of the fact. That's all they've said to me too, is like, it's not your place. You're there, and it's, you know, it's yours too. It's your family. They're your stepkids and all that. But, you know, your whole role is basically to take a step back and trust that things are going to work out. So it's just, I don't know. I was just stressed last night with like the navigating of the step parenting role. Because if I'm going to be in her life as much, like as deeply as, you know, I stay over, even if it's just one night, I am in the role of a step parent.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I try and facilitate that. I mean, I want you to feel, I don't know, I love you. I want you around, you know, I want you to stay around, and I want you to feel like, I mean, I'm not trying to like push you into this role quickly, but I don't know. I feel like I give you the same amount of freedom that I give my daughter, in that, I mean, obviously you know what's right from wrong, and you're going to tell my daughter what's right from wrong. So, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to ease you into an authority figure for her.
Yeah. I don't think you're pushing me into it. That's not what I mean.
Right.
Or that's, I don't know, it's a good point that you brought up, because that is not how I feel. I don't know, just understanding conceptually like what a stepmother role is and means. And it's kind of being thrown into relief by what I'm talking about in therapy, which I'm really happy about and that I think is going really well. It's, been a day, but still baby steps. And I feel like I'm making progress and will continue to make progress towards this. And I feel like I'm more like concretely committed to the goal, which is I officially committed to my therapist to stop criticizing your ex-wife to anyone, fucking period. And I've said this before on the podcast and said it before in real life where it's like, it doesn't do us any good. It's, it really just keeps me stuck in a mindset that doesn't help anyone, especially the child. And that puts you in a weird place too. And just really complicates things for no reason. And my therapist and I talked a lot about, that was the whole session. I'm like, I need to discuss this because I'm tired of it and I can't stop, obviously, or I'm having trouble.
It's funny because I didn't realize it.
Okay. I mean, that's good. I'm glad it wasn't like making you feel weird. Mm-mm. But I know myself and I know like I've been dwelling on it and making it a piece in conversation is making me uncomfortable.
Makes sense.
I'm tired of it. I just don't want that to be the direction my thoughts go in with her, because we're orbiting each other for 15 years following this point, because that's the plan and that's the hope and the goal is that I will be around forever.
Yeah.
And that so will she, honestly, because your kid needs her mom.
Right.
But obviously, I mean, God forbid anything can happen is what I mean. Or anything like that. I guess the whole idea is like that I need to address my inner child and stop learn to not project her on your ex-wife and your child. Because my therapist just looked at me as like, we kind of sat like, we sincerely think I'm not just trying to be a victim here. And so there's a goal in the ways that I think about her and the ways that I talk about her. Like, what am I trying to get within myself by saying these things? What am I looking for? And it really was just acting out. And I sat with it. It was a really good question. I tried to like replay all the feelings I have. And like when I think more about like, oh, fuck her. Or not fuck her, but I mean, oh, she's lazy. She's whatever. What brings that out in me? And it's a feeling of not being in control of my own future. And it's really just me looking at her like I look at my mom. And like fighting for independence from someone that I feel like is not giving me the benefit of the doubt or whatever. Or not seeing me as, a full person. And so she's really just my mom. I'm looking at her as if she's my mom, and she is not. And I am not some little kid under someone's thumb anymore.
You've brought that up before.
Yes.
And that's interesting.
Definitely.
So I'm glad you're still on that mindset personally.
Thank you. I already feel more at ease. And to your kid, whenever she talks about anything concerning her mom, like she had really cute shoes yesterday. And I was like, dude, those shoes are awesome. And she went, my mommy bought them. I said, she has great taste. They look perfect on you. Or I think I asked her what her mom did for a job. And you told me it was scheduling. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. She makes sure everything happens on time. That's such an important job. And so really I'm trying to not just not criticize her, but actually be like actively positive about her. And it doesn't have anything to do with the mom. I'm trying to let go of how she thinks of me and mind reading, pretending I think I know how she feels and then like making that a catalyst for my own emotions. I don't know her and I don't have to. Like I'm trying to move towards loving her or accepting her because she made someone that I love so much.
Yeah.
And even if she never ever acknowledges me, fine. The goal is for it to not even fucking matter. I am responsible for my own actions, and no one else's opinions or actions or lack thereof have to drive, the goals that I set and the progress I make towards them, because this is a good goal for your child and for me just as a person. And now that I've asked you to hold me accountable on that, I feel a lot more secure in that goal, and I feel much more relaxed about it. It's nice.
I guess that's exactly what I was kind of opening up there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because
good call.
Children can be overwhelming. It's constant attention.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just nonstop.
Yeah. It is.
And you put in your 2 cents that, or I said, I feel just incredibly unprepared for any of this, because I just kind of plopped in the middle of this situation that didn't include me and doesn't still, it doesn't include me. And that's not the point of it. It's not going to include me really in the overall scheme of obviously who our parents are. It's not up to me at all. I'm a supporter and a side character in this, just supporting your child, and hopefully I'll be a really good role model for her. But I don't know, probably as a product of growing up in an enmeshed family with a narcissistic father, it's really hard to accept that I'm not central to a person that I love so much, which is your child, which is a whole mess that I'm just trying to fix, or figure out in my own head, fixing myself. It's just not something I'm used to.
Yeah.
And having to hold my tongue is just a new exercise. This makes me sound like such a brat, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Which that is what I'm learning from this. And it's a very valuable lesson. I'm looking at this and, every day reminding myself to look at this as a seriously healthy learning experience that I'm going to be a better person for. And I already feel better.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks. I love you.
I love you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, talking about getting prepared. I mean, you're never really prepared unless you just have a team of nannies on deck.
That is what you said, is you're not even prepared. You never are.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, they're going to throw something at you, completely different anyway. So what are you preparing for? The next change, really?
Yeah.
The next growth spurt, the next milestone, which kind of could be anything. So yeah, parenting's hard.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. You've got a point that step parenting is different than regular parenting because, I don't know, well, I spend a lot more time with my child than you do. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just her being my child, because that's part of it, obviously. But yeah, I think the time spent with her, I think the more time you spend with her, the more truly attached you become, the more she'll kind of grow on you.
Yeah, the easier it is to not be so exhausted.
Yeah, it won't feel like such a burden.
Like a job.
Right.
Yeah, when I used to sit for the girl that I do sit, I used to sit for her every single day, 5 days a week. I spent 33 hours with that kid, week in, week out, and that was my sole source of employment. And we had so much fun, even when we had really shitty days. I really loved spending that time with her. And now that I see her twice a week to never, I'll go months without seeing her and then sit with her for a couple weeks, just to make some extra money. And because my schedule allows it sometimes, I'm I cannot stand this job right now. And it's over, thank fuck. I was done my last day. So I think you're really right about that, and that it'll just, take more time of just her growing on me and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's just so much work, which LOL, duh, it's parenting, but knowing that and then experiencing it in person and actually being really fucking tired from it are different things. Because apparently the first 18 months suck, so that's going to be fun.
I mean,
just because they change so often and they're hard.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Also, my best friend is 6 weeks pregnant, and she already hates it. God, it's so funny. The only thing she's talked about for the last 4 years I've known her is how much she wants to be a mom. And she's like, I won't throw up. I feel horrible, but I will not throw up. She's fighting morning sickness. She can eat 2 different foods without throwing up, and that's it. God, she's so funny.
I'm glad. That's good.
I know. I'm really glad she's pregnant. I've been waiting for it. Every night before they go to bed, her husband's like, we're going to have a baby. Touches her tummy. They're cute. They're very cute. They've been dating for 7 years at this point. They've been married for a little over 1. High school sweethearts.
Oh.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I know.
We're kind of like college sweethearts.
We didn't meet while you were in college. We were not in college together.
Well, but you're in college, so I'm your college sweetheart.
Sure.
Yay. College sweethearts.
Oh,
romantic.
you're my little sweetheart. Wow. My little handsome man. You're the most encouraging boyfriend ever.
What do you mean?
You just are. I'm thinking about our... I sent you a picture earlier. I think it was from my therapist. No, it was from my ACA group chat. Someone posted, it was some headline, or it was a Twitter exchange, where the first post was like a headline saying, it was millennial dads have pathetic DIY skills compared to baby boomers. I had a link to the article. And some dad replied and said, maybe, but at least I have the emotional capacity to tell my daughter I love her. And I sent it to you, and I said, you've got both. Like, ooh, my man's is the best.
Yeah, I was like, man, both of those skills are important. I mean, you still need to be a man while telling your daughter that you love her. I mean, she still needs... I don't know. I guess it depends on what sort of vision you have in life for family. But if you want a nuclear family, if you kind of expect your daughter to have children, then you kind of want to, I don't know, prepare her to see value in someone who can be the provider for the household. Because if you have a lot of children, that's a lot of time that you cannot work.
Yeah.
And I don't...
It's going to fuck up my career.
I mean, kind of.
For a little while. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You really need to set models for your children. Be how, you know, obviously you want to be who your child is going to create patterns. That's what humans do. Humans they observe and they create patterns. Jordan Peterson says we create order from chaos. That's what consciousness is.
True.
And which order is literally just patterns. And people are very good at patterns. You could argue that all day long. So yeah, I mean, you just want to be a model for who you want your child to look up to admire, and that's going to carry over into intimacy and stuff like that too. So absolutely.
Yeah, so if you want your kids to be productive, you have to teach them how to be productive and value productivity.
Yeah.
And like fixing stuff yourself, which I certainly have no fucking idea how to do, but I find it very attractive that you know how to do that. And I try and learn.
Yeah. I mean, I try to. I don't know. I'm somewhat handy. I'm electronically handy for sure. Mechanically, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but I don't know, just to make a long story short, I sent that to you and we were laughing and you said, oh, you know, they're both really important skills to have. And I said, ooh, but my man has both. Like, what a catch.
Yeah.
And your next response was just saying, I had a good weekend and I miss you already. I'm like, I love you.
Yeah, it's...
You know. Go ahead.
I definitely noticed that feeling again where we've spent a lot of time together, like meaningful time together, and then you're gone and it's kind of like this void is there now.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like a low point
Yeah.
after a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, that come down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just always very appreciative. And I feel very loved when you take it upon yourself and it's not even some burden for you. You just tell me that you miss me or that you love me or that you really appreciate me. I woke up to a text from you about just you really appreciating me and loving me when I fell asleep the other night. That text is what I woke up to today. I don't know. The way that you are verbal with your love and appreciation is something that I value very highly. And it's just something about you that I love.
Thanks.
Welcome. Thank you.
So, yeah, we're doing pretty well. All in all.
Yeah.
Parenting
Agreed.
is hard, but you and I don't have any major problems to report, so we can try and fix that. I thought maybe we could go a little political on this episode again.
Oh, God. I did not watch the video because I was doing step work for like 3 hours and I completely forgot. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. You were going to review a political video about, it was about whether or not Donald Trump is actually racist, or if the media claims about him are just garbage.
It was specifically about the, quote, Muslim ban.
Yeah.
And I took a refugee class basically a couple semesters ago in my last semester of undergrad. And there was a Styx video that made claims about the countries in the quote Muslim ban. And I was like, I have stats that completely say the opposite of that, and I haven't pulled them up, but that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
His counter argument was just that sorry, I started a mission that I've never done before. I've got oversized load. I've got people taking selfies next to a fucking mobile home. News crews out here taking video of a mobile home. Dude, it's just a mobile home. I don't. Okay.
Same.
Weird.
Pause really quick.
Mhm.
I am checking my final grades. And I've gotten, let's see, one of them hasn't posted my grades, but let's see. 1, 2, 3. Every class except the one that's not posted, I have an A in as of my final grades.
Well, of course.
And in social work, we operate on a 7-point scale where anything below a 93 is not an A. So, got it. As opposed to a 90.
When did they do that?
It's just in social work. Some classes in undergrad used a 10-point scale, so a 90 was an A.
Should it be surprising to me? I think you do a really good job.
Probably not. You were bragging on me really hard in therapy. But anyway. All right, what do you want to talk about?
Well, mostly, I listened to Bernie Sanders was on Joe Rogan today, and I found it very, really very interesting just to get, I was trying to get some sort of picture of what is democratic socialism. And after listening to Bernie Sanders, he's literally just Obama. There is no difference between Bernie Sanders and any other person coming out of the Democratic National Committee or whatever it's called, the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And I sent you some of these points, and I kind of just want to get your, what do you think? So yeah, the first point is that our public education system is garbage, but they want to make college free. They want to turn college into a public institution.
Sorry, I'm still looking at everything that you sent.
That's fine. I'll read them off one at a time.
Okay. Orange man tweet is my favorite phrase now.
Orange man bad, orange man tweet.
Orange man tweet.
Our president's a bad man for tweeting every day.
Tweet.
It's just such a horrible person to make tweets.
Okay, are we doing that or are we doing public school?
I mean, there's nothing to say about that unless you really feel inclined, but,
No. All right. Public school sucks. Let's make university public was your text. I don't know. I kind of don't know what would change necessarily because the university I attend is technically a public university. So I guess that it would just be free, but I don't know, dude. I'd rather not have $20,000 in loans right now. But let's see, I'm getting federal loans. So, I mean, the government is technically paying for my school and then I'll pay for it back. And to tell you the truth, I don't know why the fuck public schools suck so much. I don't understand why we give so few shits about the education of our children. I don't get it.
It's not that we give few shits. It's that there's so many people who don't give a shit about their own education. And there is such a major push to make everyone graduate. It's mandatory. I mean, it's borderline mandatory to graduate high school. You have to do this to do anything in life is kind of the message that we've sent to people. That's the narrative that we've constructed.
God, what was I thinking about? I think in one of my classes, it might have been a fucking TED Talk. I don't remember. We discussed the different kinds of intelligence. I remember learning in AP psychology in high school that there are, I think, either 17 or 33. I don't know why these two numbers are coming up. Let me find out. But there are double digits of types of intelligence. And they're not all, standardized testing. Oh, LOL. Never mind. There are 9 types, so don't listen to me. There are 9 types of intelligence, according to, what was his name? Howard Gardner. That's what I remember now. Naturalist, nature smart, musical, sound smart, logical, mathematical, number and reasoning smart, existential, life smart, interpersonal, people smart, bodily kinesthetic, movement smart, basically, linguistic, intrapersonal, and spatial. And the last one is visualizing the world in 3D, which I do not have any intelligence in. I don't know, and not, all of those have any implication for school, have any connection to academic schooling. And we were talking, just like you're saying, or that I feel like you were getting to. And there was I guess it was a fucking TED Talk where, back in, God, I don't know when this was, in the 20th century, before ADHD was even a thing, like we obviously didn't have this diagnosis yet. Kids wouldn't be diagnosed with ADHD, but they might get sent to like dance school. And it was the choreographer for the Phantom of the Opera, and like very, very high powered musicals and movies and things. She had created the choreography for it. And when she was younger, she was moving around, all whatever, twitching in a doctor's office. And the doctor took her mother out of the room with him, and they just watched her and she just started dancing immediately when they left. And he's like, we need to get her in a dance school. That is where she would be best, because she was kinesthetic. She couldn't sit still in a classroom and take a test, but she was profoundly talented in dance and bodily movement and that sort of spatial intelligence. And so she didn't go to regular school. She went to a performance arts school for dance. And she went on to do these amazing things and choreograph big works. So, I think you're right. I tend to really stick to that school is for everybody because I really excel at school. This is my intelligence level or my intelligence area. I do very well in school and academics. But I don't know, the question of if we're forcing everybody into school, what happens when people don't have an education? Are the ramifications of people not having a basic education worse than or greater than the ramifications of making school public? That's a real question. I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah. I don't know. There's the way our education is structured doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense even.
Explain that a little bit to me.
Our testing is just based on standardized tests. We just learn how to take multiple choice tests, basically.
That's true. Standardized tests are fucked.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're not putting any value in your educators. And maybe this is why educators don't get paid very much, is because they're not valued very much, because we give very little power to the educator, and all of the power lies in, well, did the kid pass the standardized test or not? Did they pass their ASVABs and their SATs and their
what?
Their blargs.
ASVABs?
Yeah. Obviously you can go through it and do well. I don't know, like mandatory schooling seems a little crazy. I don't see how you can make people learn these skills that if they don't want to use, they will likely never use, if they don't see the value in. I was kind of thinking about this. Yeah. I was kind of thinking about this today, in that there's a lot of people, like, we are without a doubt the richest country in the history of ever, right? Well, it's, known history.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who don't have to work, whether they live off of welfare or they live off of rich parents.
I feel attacked.
Whatever. Doesn't. I think my point kind of stands that, like, there's a lot of people who are disenfranchised by the fact that they get free stuff, so they don't see any value in working for stuff. I don't know how that links to the school argument, but
come back to that. I think that has a place in it. Hang on, I forgot what I was going to say.
So yeah, I
where I was going.
My point is making public school, making like undergraduate school free, like just telling everybody their loans have been wiped clean. You don't owe anybody anything for all that work that they did. I think that terribly devalues the whole system. Obviously it does. It completely removes the value from the system. But I think it's something that like ancient Greeks used to do, is that sometimes they would just erase everyone's debt and start over.
Huh. That's kind of weird. I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't know. In that class, it was my theory class. I think my professor, who was obviously a college professor, was saying that she doesn't really know that, in light of the intelligence discussion, she was saying that, college is really only needed if you want to teach college. But we've got this big degree inflation phenomenon happening where, it used to be that you just have to graduate from high school, and now you've got to graduate from college, and now a bachelor's means really nothing as compared to a master's. I could have started practicing when I graduated in May. You don't need anything further to be a social worker than a BSW degree.
Right.
But, you really can't advance further unless you've got your master's. So degrees are starting to mean less and less, which I don't like at all because I like degrees a lot and I like academic pursuit. But yeah, I guess like the setting of high school or college or a master's as a baseline is really devaluing what higher and higher education is worth, which is good and bad, I guess. I think it's good that we've got a lot of people looking or getting higher education. I think that's a good thing. But it means that they're more qualified or whatever, but then that makes everybody else also less qualified. I don't know.
Basic economics teaches us that, if you increase the demand for something, the cost of it goes up. So if you make college free, if you increase the demand for it by making it more accessible to people, the cost of it is going to rise. That's directly a product of making it less expensive, making it more achievable. They're trying to make it less expensive, but in turn, they're making it more expensive. That's very basic economics. It really is. I mean, they teach you that in high school, in the school that they make you go to. They also teach you that fact.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I stand on it. I don't think I want it public.
But that's one of Bernie Sanders' platforms is
well, I'm not trying to vote for Bernie's.
I know.
I don't know. I personally don't like that degrees are being devalued now because they are so accessible. That's kind of me being a little elitist, but I don't know. It is getting fairly easy to earn a degree. It's not easy. Like, I work really fucking hard to get 99s in every class I take. But there are people in my classes that don't do shit and still pass. And they turn their papers in a week late and still make it. Like, what the fuck? I think the standards get inherently lower when you allow everybody in on like inclusion kind of basis.
Yes.
Which really bothered me throughout my undergraduate. I was very frustrated that really everyone in my cohort graduated. There are a few that really should not have, in my opinion. Just based on the amount of work that they did. And the knowledge, the amount of comprehension they had of the subject matter. Like, they were just miles apart from other students.
So
I don't
know. My point is that's not just a Bernie platform. It's weird. All Democrats really seem to have a very shoehorned policy. I mean, they talk about talking points, and I guess Republicans do the same thing, but we're just not hearing a lot from Republicans right now because Democrats are fighting for the presidency. They are fighting as hard as they can for it because Orange Man bad. The world is ending. We have 12 years before global warming kills us all, is what they're saying. That's another thing that Bernie said. Well, Bernie says scientists say we have 12 years before the damage is irreparable, completely ignoring the fact that the world naturally goes in and out of glacial cycles. It's not uncommon for the world's ice caps to melt. That's not uncommon.
There are cities that are running out of water, though, which is kind of not good, I would say.
Well, yeah, they're overpopulated. You slam too many people in San Francisco, and there's not a reservoir to sustain them all. That's what's going to happen.
Sure, but like the rainfall is stopping.
Is it?
Yeah, in India. I don't remember the city.
Oh.
Yeah, they have like a serious water shortage.
Overpopulated as fuck, yeah.
Whatever, man. I still find countrywide drought concerning.
It is, sure.
You certainly don't need to believe in global warming, but I definitely do.
I'm not saying the globe is not warming.
Or climate change, whatever. Whatever it's called. Was that on your topic list as well?
Precipitation worldwide seems to be on an upswing.
All right, India.
But, I mean, I don't know. My point is climates change. The climate changes. The Earth naturally goes in and out of glacial periods. And, I mean, yeah, man may be causing it. What am I going to do? You want me to stop driving to work?
Yes, get some welfare.
Yeah, I mean, right. That seems...
Support me on your welfare.
I'm not sure what the real agenda is there. Okay, climate change. We hear you. Now what? I don't know. There's no solution there. That's one thing that Bernie kept saying. He kept saying he doesn't have any magic solution, which means that he has no solution. Magic or no, you need to have some goal in mind there.
Really, the only goals I ever hear about it are like small scale. I mean, and that's all we can do is individual change, like recycling and shit like that.
Yep.
And changing industry processes.
One of my
the making of waste. Huh?
One of the big points I got out of it was that Bernie says you need to stop building weapons, and we need to be a power source for the entire world.
Oh, like divert our weapons, basically funding to
energy.
Getting energy,
yep.
Cleaner energy. Oh shit! Sorry, my headphones came out.
You're good. And I don't know. I mean, I think the United States has a very large military budget because so many other countries around the world are very hostile. They're extremely hostile. And we know this. Like, we know that, what happened to Russia? I thought Russia was just waiting to kill us at any moment. But so is a lot of, the Middle East as well. The conspiracy is that Saudi Arabia sent the planes over here to crash into the Twin Towers at 9/11. So, because a lot of those guys were Saudi agents, apparently. But, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It seems very like he's intentionally destroying society. That seems to be the goal of Democrats.
Wait, Bernie?
Just Democrats in general is the destruction of American society, of Western society. It's the complete destruction of it.
We've talked about that before. Deconstructionism.
Yeah.
Or I can't think of the postmodernism. That's
postmodernism, yeah.
Based on deconstruction.
And it seems, I don't know, it just seems crazy.
I mean, fair. I don't know. And I think I'm still at the same point where, like, I can appreciate, at least in discourse, deconstruction of, I don't know, figure out, like, what the fuck we think about society and why it is the way it is. Like, I appreciate discussions about that. I don't know that I appreciate the actual deconstruction of those things, at least to a high extent. But I don't know. I find a lot of value in understanding why we do things and challenging it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Or not even sometimes. Like, I don't know, my mental health work with myself and in my cohort, because I do presentations on it sometimes in class for assignments and stuff. And the work I intend to do with my clients does really turn it challenges the ideas we have about mental health and its secrecy in some ways. So there are areas of my life where I really do try and challenge what we think of certain things and the ways we construct, mental health or mental illness. But listening to Sword and Scale has disabused me of some of those notions also. Sorry, that was a little off topic. Mental health isn't always as gentle as we want it to be. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, of course,
the shit some of these mentally ill people have done is crazy. No pun intended. Just horrifying.
It is, I agree.
He made a really interesting point about mental health. Yeah, it's like a nice thing to do for people with mental illness, but it's also a matter of public safety. I'd never thought about it that way. It was really interesting. It probably seems obvious, but I really like that he went into it. That was in episode 1, I think. Anyway.
It's a valid point.
Yeah.
For sure. And, there is nothing wrong with challenging the status quo, but then trying to, I feel like what happens a lot is people in general, and it really seems to be coming from the left. This is probably some sort of just bias on my end, but I mean, I don't know. You've listened to a lot of people, though, even people who really, really claim to be politically neutral, and there is a lot of left-wing ideology that is not just let's challenge this notion, let's do our best to shame you out of it. Let's just automatically assign, I'm speaking from a place of moral superiority. My morals are better than yours. And that's the end of the discussion, is that I am speaking from a moral high ground. You hate-filled piece of shit.
No, you and I were speaking about this the other day. I don't know, just taking the moral high ground in a conversation or like operating solely from that is really just a very weak way to make a point. And that it's really kind of despicable, and that, the only like backup you have for your argument is that it's more moral than you are. Like, you should be ashamed. I've got the right moral standpoint here. And that is just a bullshit way to do business, basically.
Yeah, it's propaganda. You've already determined the outcome of the argument by saying you are coming from a place of moral inferiority and my morals are higher than yours.
Which really, that doesn't make me as angry as I feel like it should. I was doing step 1 work today. It went really well. I really enjoyed it. And let's see, we were writing, like, you had to write down statements, I think, that were made to you by your family members, or by your parents, excuse me, just really just the beliefs that they raised you with about yourself. And one of my statements, or, group of statements, I usually put 1 or 2 down for each number, was like that I will always know better than you because you are young and you are not me, basically. So I'm very, very sensitive to people telling me like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about because you're whatever age you are. Like, fuck you, I know better. So just shut up and let me be right. And I'm seeing a lot of parallels between that, my father's statements, and he would say that outright, is like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about simply because you're not me. Or because you don't know anything yet. You have no experience. So I'm not quite sure why I'm not, I guess offended is a dumb word here, but why I don't find, I've got the moral high ground. Like, that's not inherently angering to me. I think when it happens in real life, I do be like, okay, well, fuck you. But while you're talking about it, like, I know that really gets under your skin, as it should, probably.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to, like, bug me that much, even though that is a very shitty ass way to handle anything. Yeah. I don't know. That was a weird tangent, but like,
It's strange to me, speaking of tangents, to kind of go off on one here, because I'm kind of losing steam on the Bernie thing, because I told you earlier, he's dumber than I thought he was. I thought he had some good points to make, and he had none. He had absolutely none. He even smoked weed one time, and all he did was cough, and he felt no effects of it. And
Joe Rogan said he was lying, right?
Well, Joe asked him
in not so many words.
Yeah, Joe was like, well, "Where'd you get the weed from?" Basically,
because you got fucked.
Because there is no. I mean, how do you? I don't know.
When he finds aliens, though, he'll be back on the podcast.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, and Joe asked him. This was a dumb question. Sometimes Joe pulls out some pretty dumb ones, and hey, if you make it into office, are you going to let us know? Will you disclose aliens? And Bernie was like, well, if not, my wife's going to make me. She's constantly asking me, hey, do you have access to those files? And he's like, well, I don't. But if I become president and I do, I'll come back here and disclose it on your show.
Oh my God.
I know. It's so, I don't know. I guess that's a virtue signal, or a dog whistle, as they call it.
Dog whistle. Can you hear it?
No, my hearing's garbage.
All right, go on with your tangent. Sorry to sidetrack you.
It's strange to me that you do want to, it's not, but it is strange to me that you want to recreate the patterns of the way that your parents treated you. I mean, you kind of want me to treat you in a very childlike way. But for some reason, you find comfort in it when I do it. But it was robbing you of your independence when your parents did it to you. And I guess I realized that you find comfort in this because it reminds you of being younger and more innocent, I suppose. I think there's always some nostalgia factor there.
Mm-hmm.
But how does it not trigger you? I guess that's what I don't get is.
Very fair question. I've not had to answer this, but I've thought about this before, and I've also been asked this before. And we've talked about this before briefly a while ago, like early. I need to talk around to it, I guess, because I don't know off the top of my head, like, oh yeah, that's what makes it okay. But sitting in my therapist's office a couple sessions ago, talking about specifically like the ways that my father crossed normal boundaries with me, even though it was never sexual per se. I, was telling him that like my dad would always call himself my daddy. He would call me like pretty girl, his princess. He would just dote on how I looked. He had these stupid nicknames for me. He still does. I'm still on this phone as like the names you would call your 5-year-old. And it truly sickens me to just think of how he called himself my daddy and I'm daddy's little girl. Like it makes me want to vomit in a very real way. And I came close in my therapist's office, honestly.
Is that, and sorry if I derail you a little bit here.
That's fine.
Do you think it's because you have some sort of sexual value placed in these things? Like, did the chicken or the egg come first?
What do you mean? I think I get what you're asking, but please try again.
These things are very sexual when you ask me to do them.
Okay. Am I disgusted because I asked, like, I've now placed a sexual value on them, or
right,
other way around?
I mean, where did the sexual value come from, if not, or where did the source of disgust, like complete disgust, come from, if not some sort of sexual meaning?
I did not place a sexual meaning on my father when I was younger. Let's just get that straight. I was not the one who made those situations sexual. I need to establish that for my sanity in this podcast.
What do you think that he did?
Yes.
Intentionally?
He never, let's again make it clear. He did not ever I've never been raped, or molested. Like there was never genital contact, anything like that. But I've told you before that my dad would, touch all up my legs. He would just dote on how beautiful I am and how nice my body is and how he would shoot any boyfriend I ever have if he ever tried anything, which is some dumb Southern shit. You're like, oh, I'll get the shotgun. But like it truly beyond a certain age. And really, it always made me very uncomfortable because the whole preset, I can't think of the word, the whole precedence behind that is like, no one can have you except me.
Yeah.
You gotta stay pure for daddy.
Okay. Which is just another deprivation of independence.
Yes, all of those things. But I don't know. The way my dad talked about like my body and how I look and the way he would like treat me on dates he would take me out on daddy-daughter dates and like treat me like a girlfriend, really. And he would physically touch me in ways that fathers should not be touching their daughters. Just clearly, like I had a lot of ambiguity about whether it was actually, inappropriate. And my therapist was like, this is disgusting. Like, no, it is so, so wrong. The ways that you've been touched by your dad. Even though it wasn't, it was it was emotional incest. So it wasn't, didn't ever touch his peen or anything, but there was a very intimate quality to it that was physical and emotional. And he was using me to meet his needs in multiple ways. For physical touch and for affection and like being the male in a relationship, basically. And okay. So, I never was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Like, I'm going to love doing this when I'm older. Like, this is what I want out of a relationship. Hell yeah.
Fast forward 5 years.
It's not like I want that. They're very different to me. They're very different to me. Which you probably don't understand. Not because you're dumb, but just because it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to someone who's not me.
I understand it, sure.
Okay, give me a second. Let me try and think. I'm trying to map out where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Or just understand. Okay, you said what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, I mean, when did the disgust start? And when I suppose maybe we can try and break it down there. When did you find it absolutely disgusting? But then again, when did you find that you wanted your boyfriend to call you his little girl?
I've always found it gross. Always. I recall I've always been really physically uncomfortable around my dad. I've never liked touching him. Really, probably since I was like 3 or 4. I've never liked how much he hugged me, and I wouldn't hug, other people in my family very much. I've told you, I think that I really loved my mom's dad. I loved him. He died when I was in 2nd grade or so, but I had a really hard time giving him like physical affection. I would, we would be leaving and I would say no. He would say, give me a hug. And I say no. And I'd kind of like hide from him. And then I'd get in the car, we'd leave. I'd be halfway down the road, like, holy shit, turn around. I want to give him a hug. Like, I already miss him. I'm so sorry. I had a lot of trouble giving physical affection to men in my life when I was little because I felt really gross and I felt, I don't know, used is kind of the word with my dad at the very least, because he always demanded affection on his terms all the time in ways that I didn't like to be touched.
Okay.
He was very inappropriate with me emotionally. And, even the way he talked to me, I felt really embarrassed always. When I started liking that, LOL, from my boyfriends, I was in high school. I had my first boyfriend in high school. Super sweet dude. Adorable ginger man.
Piece of
I
shit.
liked him a bunch. Huh? No. Nah, he was a sweet kid. But I was crazy, first of all, because high school BPD lady. It really bothered me about him that he wouldn't take like control, because LOL, the main male figure, any male figure I had in my life, was incredibly controlling. While my dad really was a fucking psycho, all he operated on was control. And I felt very like taken care of in a financial sense. And as much as I hated having someone tell me what I was going to do and why I was wrong and why we were never going to do it my way, I don't know. That's what I expected. But I guess it felt different because I had chosen this person. And it didn't feel right. I don't think I felt taken care of unless I was being told what to do, I guess.
I guess it gives you some sort of control over.
Yeah, and I've said that before. I think that always kind of sounds like an excuse to anyone I tell it to. But when I was in my hoe phase of really developing my identity with kink and my experience with it, I got that question all the fucking time. All the time.
What?
The question we're talking about now is like, why do you like this? If you've been through something. And I really got frustrated with that question. But
how many people did you divulge all this information to? I
mean,
the kink part of obviously, but the fact that you have weird familial issues with your dad, like, was that the basis of their question?
No. I'm trying to think. Hang on.
That's kind of how you just described it, is that they were asking in the context of, like, why are you like this? Why is your father,
There are many that I did not tell. I didn't just tell everybody that I fucked. But the people that I got to know more, because I had friends with benefits, like multiple. Hashtag, thanks for giving me herpes. Risky sex life. But I had a couple like partners that I saw often and for like a period of a few months, and who knew me really well and who I knew fairly well. Not really well, but who I got to know. And I do have friends that I was not sexual with in the community, like that I would go to events to and stuff, and they would have abuse in their past as well. Shocker. But I've been asked by people who like have known me a little bit better. And I was still really exploring all of that. And so the people that were my partners, LOL, however you want to say that, if I was giving someone the power to like be my daddy, I would tell them my limits of like, I've had some shit done to me. We're not doing any of that. Or, if any of this turns into or bleeds over into this other section, we're going to stop. And they'd be like, well, why do you like this then? So I get that probably didn't make any sense, but
Does.
And also we know I'm a chronic oversharer, just We know that.
Yeah.
So I have told more people than is probably appropriate to tell. I'm not going to downplay that, but I didn't tell like strangers. But a lot of people in the community have experienced some sort of family trauma, obviously. Not everyone's interest comes from that, but many people's does. So it was something you kind of bond over a little bit. But yeah, my answer whenever I was asked that, because I had some serious people that I knew and trusted over those, I don't know, like 6 months. And the answer was that I call the shots. You know, a submissive has serious power in a relationship, whether it's brief or long term. We set the boundaries. And I mean, as does the top. Like, y'all are equally entitled to set your boundaries. Obviously, anyone can safe word if you're in a scene. It's about what I like and what I'm not okay with. And that's the main thing, is I'm choosing the person. I'm choosing the ways that they speak to me. And yeah, it's not conventional at all. But if you're going to degrade me, it's going to be because I told you how to. It's all about controlling my experience in it. And I can stop you. You know, if you call me a whore too many times without saying something good about me in between, I'm going to say stop. Because that's not what I like. You call me a whore, but you better be nice in between.
Yeah.
It's just a control thing. And
I've never seen it like that. That's interesting, but it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
The description of the sub having power.
Yes, submissives are very powerful in a relationship. They call a lot of the shots. But they also get the privilege of being like the doted on, the taken care of one without, losing their rights. That's what kink is. That's the difference for me, is that I don't lose any sort of power in being vulnerable. And I've never been able to be vulnerable without being hurt severely. Growing up in any family with dysfunction means that you live guarded constantly. You don't get to let yourself relax ever. And I'm very sensitive and I like to be vulnerable.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of power in choosing how I use my experiences, because it's not like, aha, yay. Now I like when my boyfriends call me names. But it's kind of just a byproduct of my childhood, and I get to choose how I use it. Because I like what I like. I've liked it since I was 14 or younger. I remember when I started watching porn. I've liked that for a long time.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
Okay. All right. I don't remember where we were going before that.
I mean, that might have been it.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think we were kind of winding down on the politics topic, but that seemed like an interesting topic to go to.
Yeah, we haven't done politics in a while. It's just not been our focus, like in personal life or on the podcast.
Right.
Sometimes it'd be like that. All right, you want to call it, or is there more?
Yep, that's about all.
Peace out.
Peace out.